Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I'm sat next to Wayne Grow.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Heat, which came out in 1995 from writer, producer, director Michael Mann, who has made some of the absolute best films in cinema. Heat, no exception. Last of the Mohicans, an amazing, amazing film. Collateral, one of his later films, actually very good. Manhunter also started off the whole Hannibal Lecter series of movies, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, granted, he also made some, middle ground films with Ali, Public Enemies. But then he also made some absolute trash, like Miami Vice.
Oh, God, that film is so bad.
I couldn't even make it through that film. It's one of the few films I just couldn't get through.
I fall asleep.
I was like, is this Michael Mann? Really? The same guy that did Heat? Anyway, Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for Heat?
Well, the story follows two characters, actually. Al Pacino playing Lieutenant Hannah and Robert De Niro playing Neil McCauley. Neil McCauley is a professional armed robber who runs a really tight crew and is looking to pull off that final big score so that he can cash out and settle down for the rest of his life. But he's being followed by Lieutenant Hannah, played by Al Pacino, whose main objective is to take down McCauley and his whole entire crew.
This film had a lot of sort of public attention, especially with film fans, before its actual release, when everyone heard that it was Al Pacino and Robert De Niro in the same movie together. Well, granted, they were both in The Godfather 2 together, but they never appeared on screen
not together. Yeah.
And so this film was heralded as the joining of two of possibly the greatest actors of our time coming together, along with Michael Mann. And I think this movie flew past all expectations as to what those actors could bring to this project.
This film, I remember back in the day getting such amazing praise. And it wouldn't be for at least 3 or 4 years until I finally managed to get myself a copy, sit down and watch it. And I'd heard all the build-up for it. You know, the fact that it was a remake of LA Takedown by Michael Mann. LA Takedown was a TV-based movie being built into a TV series. And when you look back at this film, you can see that there are points that you could break down into maybe a 12-episode, one-season series following these two characters. But, oh my God, I mean, the film is just amazing. Before I even get into the film, the lineup alone is worth the price of admission. Like I said, we've got Pacino, we've got De Niro. Enough said with those two. You know, they're fucking just amazing.
This is at the peak of their sort of careers as well, because I will say that both of them sort of floundered, sort of in the early 2000s, and then they started to branch into other genres that perhaps were not their own.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to the point now where Pacino is doing Adam Sandler comedies and Robert De Niro is teaching his cat to pee into the toilet, you're just like, where the fuck have our hard nut guys gone? But you look back at Heat and you're like, actually, that's where they pulled off their stellar career. They can do whatever the fuck they want after this.
Wow!
Al Pacino!
It's not Al anymore. It's Dunk.
Dunkachino?
Don't mind if I do.
You've got Val Kilmer playing Chris Sihirlis, I believe his last name is. I find it hard to pronounce.
I'll take your word on that.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that he was also working on Batman Forever, and then when he took the batsuit off, he came over and did a few scenes for Heat, then went back and put the batsuit on again.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that, like you said, he's taking off the suit, coming and playing Heat, and then going back and putting the suit back on. The way he looks in Heat, you can probably tell that suit is probably putting him through some crap, because he looks a mess in this movie. You've got our boy Danny Trejo playing Trejo.
Machete!
He's just the driver, but it's Danny fucking Trejo. He's a badass.
Of all of the actors in this film, I think 2 of them actually went to prison at some point, including Danny Trejo. Yeah. And I also thought it was interesting that Michael Mann actually went to Folsom Prison.
Yeah.
To do a lot of research for the film, and also having Danny Trejo in the cast, he also learnt a lot about what these lifelong criminals and their psychology and how they behave in and out of prison.
Yeah. You've got Tom Sizemore finishing off the crew. Now, Tom Sizemore, he's had some controversial history, especially in the late 90s. But he does do some really great parts. He's a great part in this, and I do actually like him in The Relic.
I really like him in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, that's another badass film too. You've got John Voight playing Nate, who is the fence for Robert De Niro's character. Robert De Niro's always going to him and handing him off the stuff that they've robbed or looking for information. And I do like that background character he's got. He's just got this kind of look on his face, like he knows everything. He's got his fingers in every pie, but he's not going to put himself out there because he knows the trouble it can bring.
I think it's funny, the last time I saw John Voight in a movie, I think he was being eaten by a giant anaconda.
Fucking hell, mate, that was ages ago. He's fucked off with Nicolas Cage and saved America like twice since then. Yeah. Then you've got just a mad lineup. You've got Ted Levine from Silence of the Lambs. You've got Tone Loc from Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. You've got Hank Azaria from The Simpsons. Kevin Gage playing Wayne Grow, who looks a hell of a lot like Gary, which is really fucking scary. You've got Tom Newen, another guy from Manhunter of the Silence of the Lambs series. You've got Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins is a mad badass fucking actor who also does some heavy metal rock singing.
I'll never forget him from Feast.
I won't forget him from Sons of Anarchy Season 2. I thought he just played an amazing part in that. And we've got this guy.
Oh, that guy.
It's that guy.
That guy that's in 100 movies.
Yeah, that guy's really good. I really like that guy. He's a brilliant actor. And to sum it all up, you've also got Bud Cort, the voice of Edgar from Electric Dreams. Yeah. So this film's got like everything brimming for it.
You've not even finished there. You've also got Dennis Haysbert, who was from 24.
Yes.
You've also got Natalie Portman.
Yes.
You've also got Amy Brenneman. There's just, you could just keep going.
Yeah,
this
Ashley
film has
Judd.
an all-round cast. Ashley Judd. There was the one of the detectives.
Oh, that guy! That guy! He's in Mystery Men and Deep Rising!
Yes.
Love this film.
So, we've just spent 10 minutes just talking about all the characters and all the cast. Absolutely top billing.
Yeah. And the film starts just so brilliantly. I'm just going to say right now that for me personally, not being sexist with this, I'm going to try not to be sexist with this, but this is like a man's film. Like I said, I'm trying not to be sexist. Women and men can watch any type of films. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at some of the crap we've sat through. But this film is all about, robberies. And 3/4, about 75% of the cast are males, and we're dealing with the relationships and emotions that they're dealing with.
Well, I'm glad you said that the relationships, because for me, 90% of this film is all about the key characters, which is Neil and Hannah.
Yeah.
And their relationships with their respective women.
Yes. Yeah. And it's also the action as well. Like I said, right at the start of this movie, it just kicks off with the robbery. You follow De Niro walking around with his face on, and that guy, he looks scary even when he's smiling. So when you see him just walking around as he does at the beginning of this, with that just look on his face, he just looks scary, But he walks into a hospital, gets past all the security, walks up to an ambulance, it's gone. The ambulance is gone. At the same time, we're flicking back to Pacino, who's in bed with his third wife, I believe it is. And they're getting it on, and he's getting himself ready for work. So already you've got your two main characters there and two different aspects of their life. One of them is forever on the go. Actually, both of them forever on the go. But one of them is means to an end. This is my mission. And the other one has to stop him before he accomplishes that mission.
The attention to detail with everything. It's like little, non-essential scene where Val Kilmer's character goes into a store and just buys a bunch of different materials which they're going to need for the next job. For the most part, you don't really need those scenes. But having all those moments in there, all those details, it just helps enrich the world that makes it a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, because you're sat there like, what's he bought? What's he going to do with that? And it's the kind of suspicious look Val Kilmer gives the the shop attendant because he shows him that little license. And, you know, through experience with crime films, the look on Val Kilmer's face is the look of, is he going to believe that this fake ID is going to get me past this? You then follow Wayne Grow waking up, you know, getting late for work, jumping in the huge, massive semi-truck with Tom Sizemore. And you already know something's a bit off because Wayne Grow is a talker. And Tom Sizemore's like, knock it off. And it's the way he pulls off his sunglasses and shoots him that look. And you're like, something not right about this guy.
You guys always work together.
All the time.
Real tight crew, huh?
Real tight.
Yeah, this works good. I'd consider going again, you know?
Yeah, stop talking, okay, Snake?
And they get all into position. Immediately takes me back to Grand Theft Auto 5. You know, either in the story mode or multiplayer missions where you're talking through your headset, saying to people, he's coming down this road. He's getting in position. Okay, everybody, let's go. And that semi-truck comes trundling all the way down and smashes into the side of that armoured car.
The action scenes just play out so smoothly, and you're kind of on the edge of your seat, just like, wow, like
Yeah.
it was slick in terms of its technical filmmaking, in terms of the presence, the camera work, and the actors. Even though you can't see their faces, but the movements and everything else just sets it up. And when you have the three cops sort of lined up there,
Yeah.
you just, you know, you wonder like, how is this going to play out? And then you're kind of questioning yourself, the psychology of these hitmen as to whether they're the sort of people that would let them live, or whether they're the sort of criminals that are just going to go guns blazing and kill them all.
See, they're the professional crew who leave the people alive because they've got everything timed down. You know, we've got 80 seconds to get in there, blow the door, find what we need. They leave all the money and they get back out. But when you bring in that new person and they are not as tight or professional as everybody else, that's where the problems come in. And you see that with Wayne Grow when he's got the gun on the guy. And he even gets told by Tom Sizemore's character, look, they can't hear you. There's stuff coming out their ears. And he just nails that security guard. And you're just thinking, you've just fucked it now. Because now we've gone from an armed robbery, which, you know, 20 years max, to now life imprisonment because we've just murdered a security guard. And then they shoot the other two just because. It's like what Al Pacino says. He's like, well, just because. Mm-hmm. Might as well just
Leave no witnesses.
Leave no witnesses now.
The Wayne Grow character is a bit of a sticking point for me because when they made the film, they thoroughly planned all of the histories for all of the characters.
Yeah.
So they knew how this team worked. They knew their history, so that the actors, when they got into these parts, already knew how the relationships had worked previously. And then when you see the characters like Neil McCauley, who is as sophisticated and smart as he is,
yeah.
And you kind of question how or why he would hire someone like Wayne Grow in the first place.
Well, I think it's more of this guy was assigned to them.
Yeah.
You know, oh, he's really good. He'll listen to what you say and all that kind of stuff. And obviously after the shooting, this is now where Macaulay's just like, fuck this guy.
It's so great that when they just go to the restaurant.
Yes.
And they're sat there and you're like, this is a really relaxed environment. The sounds of the restaurants just overlapping everything. But you can just feel it. You can just feel that they are waiting for an opportunity.
It's the way Wayne Grow turns to everybody else and says, are you not eating? And it's like they're like, no, because that's your last meal, not ours.
I had to get it on, man. He was making a move. I had to get it on.
But they're all in on it. You know, Tom Sizemore, Val Kilmer, Danny Trejo, and then finally De Niro when he turns up. they are all going to kill this guy because he's just completely fucked them on this task, and he's seen their faces, he knows their names, so he's got all the information on them, and so the only way they've got to do is kill them. But yeah, you question it later. You question it when they go out into the parking lot, and De Niro's fucking grow up, throws him onto the floor. The cop car turns up, and he takes his eyes off him for a second. Takes his eyes off him, and Grow gets away. And I'm just like, you're showing your age now, Macaulay. You're showing your age. Back in the day, you wouldn't have cared. You'd have just popped him and just left his body there and drove away quick. But now you've let him go, and he's gonna fuck your plan completely over.
You know, I think it's funny that the actor who played Wayne Grow actually went to prison sometime after making Heat movie. And I just think it's funny that all of the inmates and all of the prison officers and wardens all called him Wayne Grow.
But my issue is that I like the fact that Wayne Grow has screwed over the crew, and that the crew have got a bit of a vendetta out for him as well. But I think it piles on a little bit too much when, as we follow the film, we see that Wayne Grow is out and he's hiding, and he kills a prostitute. And we see Lieutenant Hannah turn up at the crime scene to find this dead prostitute's body. And it turns out that there's multiple bodies like this that have appeared around the city. So Wayne Grow is not only fucked over a professional armed robbery crew, but he's also a serial killer as well. I'm like, well, that makes him the most integral character in this whole fucking film, doesn't it?
Well, he is pretty much the linchpin as to which, you know, certain characters are trying to control their own fate. And this Wayne Grow character just keeps feeding information to the different people, which causes a lot of the conflicts and pretty much lays the groundwork for the rest of the film. And the rest of the film is a build-up to that one last job, which you just can't resist because you just love the juice of the job.
Yeah.
And that comes from both sides, from the police force and from this team of criminals. They're both dedicated to their cause. It gets to a point where De Niro turns up with his team and he's just like, look, we got this job. The heat is on us right now.
Yes.
This is dangerous. So you've got millions. You've spent all your millions. So how about we just go our separate ways right now? I'm off to New Zealand.
Yeah.
See ya. But, you know, this multi-million-dollar bank heist is just so tempting and so alluring that they go, yeah, we're going to do this no matter what. And even if I've got all that money and everything else, I don't care.
Yeah.
I live for those moments. And we continue to see that then in the police force when you have Lieutenant Vincent Hanna, you know, when he's going around and he's talking to his contacts.
Yeah.
And he's trying to find out information about who the serial killer is, about who this crew is that just keeps eluding him at the moment. And then you also see how that affects his home life. As you said, with his relationship with his third wife, it's already at the beginning of this film on sort of rocky grounds, even though we share that intimate moment in bed with them.
Yeah, yeah.
They sort of continue to grow apart, and you then find out that he has no idea how to be a father. And Natalie Portman's character, who's yearning for her dad to come and spend time with her, also gets no fatherly love from there either.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, you reflect back then to De Niro's character, who has just met a girl and has started a relationship with her as we start to watch Pacino's relationship fail. You know, De Niro meets a girl called Edie. She sees him in the bookstore. They start talking at the bar. And she's intrigued by him. He's got this... I suppose his character's got this presence that she just feels really enticing. He's like a bad boy, I suppose, but he's a nice bad boy.
Well, they talk about their dreams and their aspirations and their goals in life, which really connects them both. And it feels really genuine, because at first you see this girl and she's very pretty, and you're just like, don't talk to him. Like, please, you're going to bring yourself into a world which is only going to destroy you, because this character is that we know who he is, and you're just like, oh please. But it plays out so nicely, and you get drawn into their intimate relationship when they're up in Edie's apartment on the balcony, just looking over the LA cityscape at night. You're just like, this is really romantic. This is really nice. And then, of course, and then you cut back to Hannah again, and it's just like the destruction of that relationship. And the film very much so is about the duality of man.
Yes.
And the mirror opposites of these two characters in totally different walks of life, which are both on the self-destructive path, essentially.
Yeah, because you've got the two restaurant sequences, which are brilliantly just identical, but at the same time, two complete opposites. You've got De Niro and his crew and their family sitting down, having drinks, eating, talking, having a laugh. You've got Pacino and his cop friends and all their families. They're out for a meal and they're all having a laugh and a joke. And they seem completely, if you took it completely out of context, they'd seem exactly the same. But then when you get down to the nitty gritty, you realise that he's an armed robber, he's a gambler, he's a drug addict, he's a potential, fucking cokehead and all this other stuff. And you're just like, so who here is the good guy? Ultimately, Hannah is the good guy because he keeps telling you, this is what I live for. I live to bring these guys down. I live to take the trash out. And so you're constantly just watching Hannah go, like you said, to all of his contacts. He's going to all these stakeouts. I love it when they're outside the restaurant and they're looking down at all the crew and they don't know who they are just yet, but they just start picking them out. Oh, yeah. Oh, that guy down there? Yeah, that's Val Kilmer. He's playing Batman Forever. Oh, really? Oh, fuck no. That guy down there, Tom Sizemore? Yeah, he's been in prison a couple times. Who's the loner? I like the way they say that. Who's the loner while they're looking at Robert De Niro? And we got to run a thing on him. And I'm like, you're going to find a lot of information. And it brings me to my ultimately two favourite sequences. I'm just going to chuck these in here now because I thought they were just so amazingly done. It's the first sequence where Pacino and his SWAT team are staking out Robert De Niro and his crew robbing this place. I think they were stealing materials for the bank robbery. And it's all quiet, it's all tense. Everybody is silent. De Niro is keeping an eye out for any cars or cops going past while Val Kilmer's drilling into this thing. And Al Pacino is sat there watching him through the thermograph. And there's one cop who sits down and bangs his gun against the side of the truck. And just like the actors in the film, you all look at him like, the fuck? The fucking shit! And De Niro's just like, walk, leave it. Just walk, we'll go.
It's awesome that he has that massive... He just looks at that container.
Yes.
He's just eyeballing it. And Al Pacino's just staring at the monitor, just staring right back at him. And you're just like, the tension is there. You're like... Is Pacino's team just going to burst in there and book him now? The SWAT members are like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get him. And Pacino's like, no, we got fucking nothing on them right now. And De Niro's just weighing up in his mind. He's like, is that SWAT team in there? Are they watching me right now?
Yeah.
Should I go in there and continue the plan? Or should we just walk? And he's a career criminal who has never been busted or has been busted and refuses to ever go back.
Yes.
And so he just walks in there and we're walking. And they just calmly... Well, Val Kilmer is a bit hesitant at first. He's like, fuck, I want to do this job.
Yeah.
But yeah, they walk, and it's just like... you brought into this world so brilliantly.
It's amazing. And like I said, it brings me up to one of my second favourite sequences where you see the crew, they just stood out in the open, and they're pointing at things. Oh, yeah, we're going to take that turnpike down there, and there's an oil refinery over there. And the cops are watching them like, what are they looking at? And then all the cops get down there and they're looking around, looking to find out what the crew were looking at. And it's Pacino who goes, they're looking at us. And then all the cops are like, what do you mean? He said, look, we're stood right out in the open. There's hundreds of places that they can hide. They are watching us right now, and that's it. You cut back to De Niro stood up on a high platform with a camera, just taking their pictures, and he passes that information on to Nate, so that Nate can give him all the information on the cops, and you're just like,
both sides
building
just
now,
figuring each other out.
This crew is good. You know what they're looking at? What? Us. The LAPD, the police department. You just got me.
The two of them are now aware of each other.
Yes.
And Hannah has got hold of Neil. He's driving behind him, puts the sirens on, and pulls him over. And he's just like, the two of them instantly, just looking at each other, they know who they are. And he's like, go for a coffee?
Yeah.
It's like, not a shootout? You're not just going to start shooting each other now? You're going to drive off for a coffee? For real? And then there they are. They're in the restaurant. I know a lot of people have looked at this scene and gone, they weren't really in the same scene together because of the way it's shot. You shoot one of Pacino and then one of De Niro and then back to Pacino, but there's a couple of shots over the shoulder.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of other images which has them both in frame together. But still, it is a tight, tense moment because you don't know whether they're going to start, pistols at dawn, they're just going to start shooting at each other straight away, but they don't.
No.
They talk it out. And the magic happens when the two of them realise that they're not too much... They're not too dissimilar to each other.
Yeah.
They've actually got a lot of similarities, just different perspectives. And both of them agree, really, that they're not going to back down.
No. That's it. It's the way that De Niro is just like, I'm going to go do this, and if you're in my way, I'm going to put you down. And Pacino's just like, I'm going to stop you from doing this. And you're like, oh. I mean, I haven't seen a tenser sequence in a restaurant since probably Harry Met Sally.
If it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down.
What if you do got me boxed in? Then I gotta put you down. Because no matter what, you will not get in my way.
On top of all of this stuff that's going on, the package that they stole in the original armed robbery at the beginning belongs to that guy. And De Niro is selling it back to him for like quadruple the fucking price. And I think he's called Van Sant.
Yeah, Roger Van Sant.
Roger Van Sant. Van Sant isn't going to back down either. He thinks he's the fucking top dog, up in his office with Henry Rollins standing by the door. He's thinking, why am I fucking around with this small-time crook? And he tries to kill De Niro over this money. And De Niro and his crew fucking destroy Van Sant's crew. And it's the way De Niro rings Van Sant back up and says to him, forget the money. Oh, well, what do you mean forget the money? Forget the money because I'm talking to a dead man.
It's a lot of money. What are you doing? What do you mean, forget the money?
What am I doing? I'm talking to an empty telephone.
I don't understand.
Because there was a dead man on the other end of this fucking line.
I love it when you find Van Sant later on. He's still in his office and he hasn't left for weeks.
He hasn't left. That's it. Yeah. and like I said, it brings me back to Waingro again because somehow Waingro has managed to evade capture from the police of all the prostitutes he's murdering, and this professional crew who obviously want to kill him for the fuck up at the beginning. He manages to evade them all to be able to get to Van Sant's office and say to him, "Hey, I hear you've got some issues. I've got issues too. Let's work together and we'll fuck everybody over." And Van Sant's like, "Yeah, totally. Okay, we'll do that." And it connects it with Danny Trejo's character because Danny Trejo, he cannot drop the cops. The cops are following him all over the place and he's doing his best to drop them. And so he rings up De Niro, I think on the day of the robbery.
Oh yeah.
He rings him up on the day of the robbery and says, "Look, I can't make it." And De Niro's just like, "Fuck, are you sure you can't lose the cops?" "I can't do it." But while they're dealing with, while they go off to start the robbery, off camera, Trejo has gone home. And Van Sant is there with, I believe, Waingro. And the information is beaten out of him. And that information is then given to Van Sant, who leaks it to the cops. But the beauty of this movie, and like I said, it replicated again in GTA 5. This is how much of an impact this film has made. You watch the crew walk into that bank. Long coats, scoping the area out. Oh, fucking beautiful!
It is just clockwork. The precision that they have. You just get a sense of how ruthless they are, but how calculated and how professional they are. You know, right up to the point where they're walking out, and I'm like, if I had those bags over my shoulder, I would not be casually walking. I would just be running. I would just be running right to that getaway car. You know, and Tom Sizemore gets in the car first, and he's just like, ha ha ha, we've done it. And I'm just like, I know, you watch it, you're seeing the police force making their way to the bank, and you're watching it like, come on, De Niro, the cops are coming. And it's you're waiting for it. You're like, are they going to get away with it? Is it going to be the ultimate heist movie? Are they going to? And then you just watch that truck go past, and Val Kilmer just sees the cops on the other side.
Yeah.
And he just opens fire immediately, no hesitation.
Yeah, yeah.
And from there, you are led into nearly 20 minutes of the most visceral gun battle scene put to film. It is amazing. You know, this sequence of events has actually been used to train police force and other military members as to how to successfully retreat whilst under fire.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. When they are surrounded by the LAPD at one end and the police force down at the other end, you're like, they've got to shoot their way through.
Yes. Yeah.
One or the other.
I remember reading in an Empire magazine years and years ago where a piece of information on Heat that they showed the movie to some US Marines, and the US Marines clapped and cheered when, I believe it's De Niro, it's either De Niro or Kilmer, one of them executes a perfect M16 reload.
Yes.
You know, and the Marines just cheered and whooped because they'd realised that the guys in the film had gone through all the training. And I think it's Michael Mann went out and got Andy McNabb, the ex-SAS Special Forces guy, to train the actors in how to use the weapons. So he set up this whole training regime using live ammunition to train the actors how to use the weapons properly and how to move properly, to then get them to the film set, give them back the guns, give them blanks, and then go, right, now you've got to do everything you've been trained to do. And I feel bad for the driver.
Totally.
Because I love all the character pieces in this movie. At the same time, though, the film is fucking long. Fucking long. And so we've been given Donald Breeden as this new crewman. And so you're following his story of him working in the restaurant and not really liking it because obviously he's just got out of prison.
For the most part, you think that his scenes are totally disconnected from the film until all of a sudden De Niro goes, hey, you want to work for me? We're going to do a job now.
Yeah.
But his scenes throughout the film actually brought tears to my eyes watching the film. And it's when he comes back after doing a really shitty day at this restaurant, and he sat there, and his girlfriend or his fiancée tells him, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And he's just like, how could you be proud of me? Really? And she explains it to him. Doesn't matter if you're a bus driver, doesn't matter what you do, I love you. And I broke me watching it. I was like, of all the other relationships that are going on in this film, this one was so good, despite having so little amount of time put into it. And I think Dennis Haysbert put on such a great performance, despite having such little screen time.
Yeah, but then it's so bad because he gets chucked in the car and driving, and then gets blasted by the fucking cops. He's just like, should have stayed in that kitchen, mate.
So you do care when they die. And he had to make that horrible choice of, I'm out of prison. I'm on the straight and narrow. But I am working for this asshole who is literally just abusing any ex-cons into the point where they will want to go back to a life of crime because that is better than working in this shithole. And it's very sad. And the film does highlight that.
But then, crazy enough, I mean, maybe it's Bud Cort being a great actor, but you kind of look at it like, how many of ex-cons has he dealt with?
Totally,
who have obviously
he's
been
continuously
like that,
abusing
you know,
them,
and he's probably given them chances and been fucked over. It's so much back history, but the driver's just been taken out. Kilmer and De Niro running one way. Tom Sizemore, he's been separated. He's going the other way. His scene is probably the tensest when he picks up that little boy.
Yeah, I was, the Tom Sizemore character, he's a family man.
Yeah.
And so you kind of like...
But he lives for the juice, doesn't he?
Does.
He wants to get away. He's carrying what could possibly be like $2 million on his back.
Yeah.
So he is not going to give it up that easily. You've got, like I said, you've got De Niro and Val Kilmer getting off, and Kilmer gets injured. And you're just like, oh, fuck. And now you're watching De Niro carry Kilmer into a car park lot while firing off his gun and being chased by cops. You're just like, wow.
But the soundscape of this whole sequence is breathtaking. They filmed it all with the blank ammunition.
Yeah.
And on, there was no set. This was all an actual location. And the sounds just reverberated off the buildings with the people screaming.
Yeah.
It felt like there was an actual gunfight happening in downtown LA. And they took it back to the studio and they're like, okay, let's put in all the dub sound effects of the guns. And they were just like, oh, we just killed this scene. Let's take all those sound effects out and go with the sounds we recorded intercut in with, the ambient sounds of the city as well, just to give you a soundscape that is unprecedented in film. I don't think I can recall a better use of sound and sound effects in a film in a gun shootout as this moment.
I don't know. I was watching this bank robbery heist from the moment they turned up to the moment that they got away, and I was sat there just like, this bank robbery, I could be wrong, but I think topped the Dark Knight's bank robbery at the beginning.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm a big fucking fan of the Dark Knight, and that bank robbery sequence is amazing, but Heat's still trumps it. It still trumps it because it's just more realistic, more gritty, just everything just so works, especially for 1995.
It was that guy in the bank.
It was that guy. Yeah, it was that guy in the bank again. Yeah. But now we're getting to the end of the film.
Well, actually, we're not getting to the end of the film. Usually, you'd
Really?
think a standard film would end.
Yeah.
This film still has another hour and 20 minutes on to go.
Oh, God.
Now, you said to me, Iain, that you felt that the film dragged after the heist.
It did. Because, like I said, I love all the character pieces in this movie. But this last section, I know it in a way it's kind of tying all the loose ends, all the stuff that we've seen for the last previous hour. That I will commend. But at the same time, it just, I don't know, weirdly, I don't know if it's a positive or negative, but it was just like the dominoes were just falling into place. It's like, okay, right, remember we saw Hank Azaria and Val Kilmer's wife getting it on? Well, now we're going to use him and her to try and bring Val Kilmer down. Right, but that's like a 40-minute segment broken up where you're following her and then you're following Val Kilmer trying to get to her, and then you get the whole stuff with the cops.
For me, it is all about the resolutions, and it is all about the fallout and the consequences of the actions that they're taken up to the heist. And so we're seeing the resolution of all of that.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, like, maybe it's just me. It's not. I'm not hating on the ending. It's just, when you're sat there, like a 2 hour and 50-minute heist movie. Now that's a fucking long movie.
Well, that's what I don't. This is a heist movie, but more than that, I would say this film is a drama first and foremost. Then I would say it's the crime thriller heist segments.
Yes, and I would also say that Heat is remembered majorly for the performances from Pacino and De Niro. That's good, but I will say on record, do not forget the amazing acting from all of the other characters in this film, because even though their parts for me personally drag out the end is still as good as the middle and the beginning of the rest of this movie. And without those character pieces, like I said, we've got Hank Azaria and Val Kilmer's wife, they're having their little bit. You then follow Pacino back, finding out about his wife cheating on him, and then coming home again later on to find his stepdaughter has almost committed suicide. So you've got all that relationship stuff going on.
it kind of almost helps rebuild the bridge
Yes.
with his wife.
Yes.
Almost.
Al-
Because
almost.
you're like, they both have come to an understanding with each other where they do love each other, but it is not going to work.
No.
He is not going to remove himself from his work, and she understands that that's as much as she's going to get from him. So whether they will go their separate ways, at least it will be a neutral.
Yeah, but that's it. I think the neutrality comes back when the two of them realize they both care for Natalie Portman's character, and and it's the way that Al Pacino's saying to her as he's wrapping up, you know, I'm not letting you go. Of all the crap and shit out there that I deal with, you are not going. And so I suppose his wife seeing that makes her realize the mistake she's made by leaving her daughter to fend for herself while she goes off cheating behind her husband's back and getting drunk. There's a fucking shit ton of relationship stuff there.
Absolutely, and they're all complicated and very interesting to observe.
That's it. You've got the stuff with Nate trying to sort out all the stuff for Robert De Niro, you know, and then De Niro finding out about Van Sant. He's got to go find out about Trejo first, deal with Trejo, then go off and deal with Van Sant, then go off and deal with the stuff with Wayne Grow, while the whole time also trying to escape with Edie. It's more suspenseful and tension-filled than that whole robbery sequence.
Absolutely, you know, you're just hoping that Nate's on the phone to Neil, and you're just like, don't tell him, please don't tell him about Wayne Grow, because at this point, but at the beginning of the movie, if you told Neil that this guy who fucked you over was right here, Neil McCauley would be like, I'm not interested,
No.
I'm going to get busted, I'm going to get caught, my freedom, I'm a professional. But at the end of the film, he's like, oh, that motherfucker.
Yeah, that motherfucker.
And he just breaks, and he's like, all right, I'm going to go and kill him. And he's already gone and killed Van Sant.
Yeah.
And which has helped the police catch up to him, and because they've set him up. They know where Wayne Grow is, and so they know that he'll go there. And they already think time's passed, he's left. But he hasn't. He gets that phone call from Nate and goes there. He takes Edie with him, and he sits Edie in the car, and he's like, I'll be back, keep the car running. But we already heard him say in the film, you know, that it's that 30 seconds. If you are not prepared to walk away from everything in 30 seconds, you're not going to get away.
Yeah.
And, you know, he gets in there, he catches up with Wayne Grow, watch him sneaking around, gets into there and executes him brilliantly. You know, like, yeah, that fucker had it coming.
Yeah.
Look at me.
And the fire alarm's going off, the police have turned up, and I love the fact that it's over 30 seconds, about 40 odd seconds between where he gets to the car, sees that Detective Hannah's racing towards him,
Yeah.
and I think it literally is 30 seconds on the dot that he is waiting to make his decision, and then he leaves, and you're just like, yeah, he's standing by his convictions. This is how he would get away. I was like, but 30 seconds was a bit too long.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get away.
Yeah, that last little bit I love, because you see Pacino looking down at that direction, and he notices everybody else is running and screaming for their lives apart from that one person sat in that car. And you, like I said, you've been following him for 2 hours and 50 minutes. He is a class A fucking detective. He's been picking up points that the rest of his...
taking down crews his whole life.
Yeah, the rest of his team have been missing little points. He's been picking them all up. He's been giving them all the information to go out and look for, managing the whole team. This guy knows his shit. And it's what brings us to the final sequence where it's Macaulay and Hannah out on the airfield. You know, looking back at 1995, I did realise that back then, De Niro and Pacino could run. They do a lot of running in this film, which I thought was cool. Showed that they were still youthful back then. But then when they go out into the field, you want Macaulay just to keep running, and a part of you kind of just wants Hannah to stop and realise that he's lost him. You know, that's a cool ending for the film. But in a way, Macaulay won't feel satisfaction unless he ties off this one loose end, which is this cop. And the cop is never going to let him go. And so with the lights of the LAX, you know, runway shining, you just got this huge tense built up last stand. Like you said, two cowboys at noon, getting ready to shoot each other. But Pacino has been telling you from the beginning. That's why he's razor. He's sharp. He's on the ball, and all he does, he just gets a glimpse of a shadow, and bang, that's it.
You're just looking at it. You're like, De Niro's seen that the lights are coming on, and he's like, I'm watching the detective come out, and when the lights come on, I'll see him clear as day and get the shots off. But yeah, he saw that shadow and got the shot off first, and that leads into another great moment where he's dying. And he just holds his hand up.
Holds his hand.
And he holds his hand as he passes. And you're just like,
fucking beautiful.
Oh, man. And that just completes their journey.
Yeah.
Essentially.
But the thing is, I was sat at the end of this film and I was just like, you know what? He is amazing. But Lieutenant Hannah was such an amazing character, they could easily just make a Heat 2.
Yeah, just another team.
Just another crew, another robbery, a murderer, whatever. But you just have Lieutenant Hannah going around doing his fucking shit while you're also following the criminal going around doing Heat 2, Heat 3, Heat 4, Heat 11.
I don't think they'd ever be able to keep it to this standard, though. Yes, there would be other stories, but I also love the fact that Chris gets away at the end.
Yeah.
The Val Kilmer character. He just, he drives off. You see the police of staking out the house, and the wife gives him that signal.
Yes.
And he's like, right, that's it. Life is over as he knows it, and he's got his money, and he disappears. And I'm only going to guess that his life doesn't end happily either, because we've already seen throughout the film that he's a compulsive gambler.
Yeah.
And he was already wasted away all the money he had ever made. And I'm pretty sure whatever money he got away with, he's going to lose it all.
Well, yeah, but then again, I like to think that if he could stay hidden for maybe 5 years, but keep tabs maybe through Nate on his wife, then after 5 years, once the heat has died down, you see what I did there? Once the heat has died down, he could pick up his wife and son again, and maybe have a nest egg to fall back on, and it could all hopefully play out. But at the same time, it's Val Kilmer. He played Batman Forever, probably blew it all.
I got so many favourite scenes in this film. It is an epic drama with it's an epic crime drama that just holds your attention. You get invested in the characters all the way through it. But I love Al Pacino's outbursts. He's got a secret cocaine habit, this character.
Yeah.
And
you never see throughout the film. You never see it, but he's got a secret cocaine habit.
And it's just that moment where he just goes, great ass! Just like...
She got a great ass! And you got your head all the way up it!
The cops getting played in the warehouse area.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they realise that the joke's on them. And the coffee, the diner sequence, of course, it's a fucking highlight of the film. But there's one other moment which also got me, is when Detective Vincent is at the crime scene of another dead prostitute.
Yeah.
And he looks at the body, and he's just like, who the fuck is doing this? But it's the mother who's on the side, who just breaks through the barricade and comes running up, and he just grabs her and just holds her. And he doesn't have to say much to her, but he just holds her.
Yeah.
And the camera just lingers there to keep that moment. It hits you. It does hit you. Very, very well acted. Even down to the tiniest cameo appearances or bit part actors are all at the top of their game. Really, really are.
I've fucking so many favorite sequences in this film. I just had to write down certain ones because I'd be here all fucking day. The robberies are amazingly done. The armored car robbery at the beginning all the way to the bank robbery. I even like the shootout with Van Sant's crew that he sends. You just see like Val Kilmer jumping up with the sniper rifle, Tom Sizemore with the shotgun. They are professional. They know their shit, and each one of the shooting sequences are just amazingly done. I like De Niro doing his thing over the phone to that guy, saying to him, you're a dead man. And you're just like, oh fuck. That's pretty fucking scary. And you put that onto the side with all of Pacino's moments. Like Gary said, whenever he's talking to these contacts, and there's that one sequence where he's with Tone Loc in the club, and he's just like, this information's worth shit, and it's the way he stands up to walk out, and the guy mentions Slick, and it's the way Al Pacino kind of just slides back down into his chair again, like, tell me about Slick. She's got a great ass! It's just an amazing line. Just amazing. Love it. The catching of the cops out after that nighttime robbery, the crew leading the cops out into the open, and then just catching them and being able to take all their photos, I thought was just brilliantly done. You know, you thought the cops were ahead, now the crew's brought it back, and you just, it's brilliant. And a lot of the cool sequences just involve Gary. I thought he was a pretty good actor in this film. You know, the killing of the prostitute I thought was a bit much, and you didn't have to kill the security guard at the beginning, but you died quite well at the end when De Niro shot you in the face.
Took it like a champ.
Yeah.
I, of course, recommend Heat. This film was, in my opinion, snubbed at the Oscars the year that it came out, to the point where it wasn't nominated for anything. At all.
Wait. Fucking hell, really? Carry on.
Yeah. But granted, it was kind of a big year for films. It was the same year that Braveheart, Apollo 13 came out. And those are the big ones that won the awards.
I think Heat is better than Braveheart.
But at the same time, this was also the same year that saw Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance. It's also the same year that we saw Bad Boys, Seven, Casino, and The Usual Suspects.
It's a lot of crime.
A lot of crime dramas and thrillers came out this year. But I do think it's a shame, because I think of all of those movies, Heat is the best one. And it's a shame that it didn't receive the recognition it did. However, I think with time, people have seen the craftsmanship in Michael Mann's direction, in his camera work, the pacing, the storytelling, the duality of these characters. Everything about this film just brings you into his world, into these characters, and it's just an experience which you will not get again within this genre.
I definitely recommend this movie. I know I said that the ending drags a bit personally, but, and this is a big but, if you have gotten over halfway through this movie, if you've gotten past the bank robbery sequence, you are too far in. You have to make it all the way to the end. You have to see how the relationships all come together, how it ties up. And at the end of the movie, you'll be sat there like, wow, whoa, you know, that was a good 3-hour stint I put there. I've really taken a lot from that. You'll probably not rush back to watch the film. I mean, I've seen this film twice in my lifetime, and this was the second time, because it's so long and so much happens that after you've watched it, you don't ever need to sit down and watch it again unless you're like, you know what, fuck it, I've got 3 hours to waste. I'm going to sit and watch Heat. You know, that's probably the only ever time. You'll jump online, you'll watch the shootout sequences and some of the Wayne Grove sequences, but to really appreciate this film, you've got to enjoy it all. All of the actors do brilliantly in their parts. The skyline, cityscape, camera work is amazing.
There was no sound stages in this entire film. They filmed in over 60 different locations in LA.
Yeah.
And that is just amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, the whole city comes to life. You know, like I said, the relationships with all the characters.
I should also quickly point out the music by Elliot Goldenthal is just spellbinding.
Yes.
Just the moments of silence, then the moments of intensity in his music, coupled with the extra artists that they brought in to really vamp up the music during the chase sequences. Just compelling.
Yeah. So, all of that, plus more. If you haven't seen it, watch it. If not, then
watch it.
Don't watch it.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
We still got bait. Maybe some time.
Got. What do we got? What do we got? Bon voyage, motherfucker. You were good.